We got the LianLi and the Phanteks, a little bit of DAN case and a little bit of shift. Welcome, Simple Rud. This video is going to be, a quick comparison between the new competitors for your SFF love. Now you've got the LianLi DAN Case A4H20. So if we want to go on length of name, LianLi wins hands down. Then you've got the Phanteks Shift XT. So one thing you'll see is, yes, they are rather small, but they're small in different ways. So this one's a little, it's definitely thicker, and off the bat, it is shorter. Now with that being said, this is instantly bigger than this guy, while having, a little less options on this size, right? So the LianLi DAN case does not morph into anything else. What you see is what you get. You have 11 liters of glory. Towards the Phanteks, you've got your 13 liter, you got your 15 liter, and your 17 liter options. And before I get into what any of that means, don't forget to subscribe. I've been doing, as many case reviews as possible, and I'm working on getting parts to start building in these to give you build feedback as well, and kind of give you my experience to hopefully help with your experience. Now let's get back to this. Now the LianLi DAN case was made with going with a 240 AIO in mind, right? That is the whole goal of this case, is that is what you will build. It's not all you have to do. You can still just put fans on top and go full air cooling. Still an option, nothing's stopping you. But they really took your option of a 240 AIO and rammed it in the smallest case possible, while giving you rather ease of access on, a lot of these panels just pop right off, right? Ease of access. Now with that being said, you do have only 55 millimeters of height on top for your radiator and your fans. So it is a little limited there, but if you stick with EK's basic AIO, you'll have plenty of cooling for, your 12600K or, anything around there. If you want to get creative, I'm sure you can get your 12900K in there and, enjoy all that heat in one way or the other. Now the Phanteks Shift took this at, a different idea, and they wanted, okay, here, if you want to go air cooling, here's your case, right? You got your air cooler on, your air cooler on your processor, you've got your massive graphics card, air cooling on the back, and then, at the minimum, nothing up top. However, okay, so you pop this guy off, which is just held on by magnets. You unlock the front, you pop this off, and you can switch out this adapter for, a few different heights, one of which is rather tall. Now at the tallest you're at 17 liters, right? But you also have 60 millimeters of height for your AIO. This means you can get your EK basic like this, and you can throw on two T30s and really crank up that airflow as well. Now, both of these options are very similar in cost if you go with the PCI Gen 4. You're looking at, about 180 for either or. So price may not really matter, as in if you're already looking at these cases, you're already looking at the same price. I guess it comes down to which look you like the most. And that's a good way to start, right? So as you see, I do have the silver in front of you for this guy. There is a gunmetal for the A4, or you can get either one in black. Now this one has really no RGB or anything like that yet. You can add to it. Whereas your front on the Phanteks, take this off to see, you do have your infinity panel for your LED. Now it's nothing crazy. It is a little added aesthetics to the front. But if your goal is to go as small as possible, A4 wins, right? It does not transform and at its smallest, at 11 liters, it still competes with this on cooling, right? Because you're still doing a 240 AIO if you ramp this bad boy up. Now your differences might come with, you might have a little more airflow options in your 240 just because there's going to be a lot more room at the top of this. Right? You're going to have a lot more room because in the middle size, you can actually put 140 millimeter fans on here. This will not fit 140s on the top at all. So if you're going for just airflow, you can do that. You can do your 140s on this guy, and I think you're going to get better performance. Of course, you're going to have something quieter that's pushing more airflow. So that's kind of a win if you're going all air. Now, the other thing you get from this, from the added room, is going to be just how much room you have for building. So of course, with it being this wide, you are going to have more room for cables, you're going to have more room for your AIO, and you're going to have more room for your AIO tubes, right? Now you've still got to build them rather similarly, as in, you put your AIO on here first so you can run your tubes through and then attach it. Now the nice thing with this is when this is flopped up, you have plenty of room to run the block on it, right? But you cannot attach it to your motherboard first because your motherboard doesn't have anywhere to get through this. So same with this guy. When you get to the top and you put your radiator in, you have to do that first before you can mount your CPU block. But you're still looking at, SFF power supply. This one's gonna be tight because it's smaller, right? You don't have that width. Just for idea of your width differences. It's quite drastic. Which is why one of them can do 140 fans and the other one can't. Now I would love to see if it's possible to fit the 280 into the Phanteks, because if you could, then this would be the clear winner on, being able to fit the most in it. But looking at it, I really don't see that as an option. Especially since, you're gonna have to find a way to route your tubes, and in order to do that, you're cutting holes in this case somewhere, at the very least. And that's even saying that the 280 can fit up here. If it does, you're looking, slim and everything. So I'm not saying it's doable, but if you could pull that off, this would be superior in overall cooling. Now, if I had to choose between these two, it would be rough, but I think I would go with the LianLi, because when you're doing something like this, your goal is going to be smaller, right? And this is 11 liters at its smallest, and it's still going to give you pretty close to the same cooling capacity as this. Your biggest difference is that 5mm thickness on your radiator fan combo. So that could make your cooling difference. But I don't think it's going to be drastic enough to, bring in that extra size. Now this is a quality case, and the fact that Phanteks put out something like this at the same cost is pretty awesome. It's pretty baller, because this is a very quality case with a lot of options. But I think if you take a step back, Phanteks could have, done a little less transforming and a little more focusing. When I did the review of the LianLi case, I mentioned, like the Evo. The Evo does everything, but not one option is like perfect, right? It does all the options well, but you're gonna, lose a little function as you start moving around. This case is very focused on its function, and it does it perfectly. This case wants to give you more options, and it might not be, as compact as when you're looking at an SFF case. Now I think I'm rambling over the same thing. So basically, these cases have very similar functions and kind of similar looks. I do think this is probably going to look better on your desk when it's all built and you've got your panel opened. You know, if you take a look at GGF Vince, oh man, he did some great builds in this case, and even put, you know, a monitor in the front, which looked pretty damn good. And he did custom loops. Now when you get into custom loops on these, you're going to have very different experiences, where this one is definitely more open to doing a custom loop. Not easily, but it's an option. Custom loop in your A4, you're getting tricky, and you might be mounting stuff on the outside of the case. Now some of you are extremely talented in SFF, far beyond what I can do SFF wise. So, you know, for you experienced builders, you can definitely do your custom loops in these because, you know, you've done it. But if you're a new builder, be ready to have your work cut out if you're trying custom loop. Now I think that wraps up these cases, as in, you know, where they combat at. So with that, you know, don't forget to subscribe. Leave comments down below, you know, feedback on the video, questions on the cases, your thoughts on the cases. You know, if you have one or the other, let me know how your build experience went. So with that, thank you.